this week, right? There has. Screw that. I want to talk about positives. And if you're a fan of pro wrestling, man, it is a great time to be a fan of pro wrestling. There is a whole lot of positives right now. If you're sitting here, if you're watching at home, hell, if you can feel compelled to go on social media, even if it's just to complain about pro wrestling, you're a fan of pro wrestling. I am a fan of pro wrestling. You know, I grew up, I watched WWF. No, that's not a reason to boo, man. You're missing the point on this. This is to celebrate all of it. I watched NWA. I watched Stampede Wrestling out of Calgary. I watched Owen Hart start his career. Pretty damn cool. I watched BC All-Star Wrestling out of Vancouver. I watched International Wrestling out of Montreal, and I devoured it all because I love professional wrestling. And I know you've heard this before, but please bear with me because it's close to my heart. For 9 years, I had this torn away from me. Torn away from me. And when I finally got it back, I worked to get it back because I love it so damn much. But when I sat down and I started thinking about the end of my career, because let's face it, I'm closer to the end than the start, I realized that AEW is where I need to end my career. And a lot of people didn't seem to understand that, but I looked at the roster and I saw a murderer's row of talent. I have been in some of the most phenomenal locker rooms of all time, and I will put that locker room up against anybody. I came here because I can face Will Ospreay. I can face Kenny Omega. Hope you're doing good, bud. I can face Hangman. I can face Swerve, Joe, Claudio, Moxley. I can face Darby. I can face FTR. I can face the Young Bucks. I can face Buddy Matthews, Brody King, and Malachi Black. And by the way, those are all first time ever matches. How crazy is that? That happens in AEW. Now, I got a lot of friends in the industry, right? They call me, they go, man, Adam, it looks like you were having a blast out there. Guess what? I am. This isn't hyperbole. This isn't me knocking anywhere else. I have had a phenomenal career. I have fun everywhere I've been, everything I've done. But this is the most fun that I have had in my entire 32-year professional wrestling career. So I celebrate AEW. I celebrate the men who started AEW. So yeah, that means the Bucks, that means Kenny, that means Cody. And that means Tony Khan. And that should be celebrated. Those guys are all fans of this, just like me, just like all of you. That ain't a negative, that's not something to make fun of because we love this. AEW has pushed this industry into a better place. AEW has pushed everyone into a better place. It has given more people a chance to do what they love for a living, and that should be celebrated. AEW makes pro wrestling better. AEW makes pro wrestling more fun. And AEW is where the best wrestle.
Welcome to another episode of Brawl Till We Fall. This is all about AEW. We missed a whole entire week of AEW. We were over on the other brand, for their big major event. But it's time to talk about AEW and catch up on some things, as you've seen from the footage of how we kicking things off, a lot of controversy behind the footage that was aired regarding CM Punk. And we just want to say that on my behalf, that besides all of this controversy, all the shenanigans that's going on, my opinion is going to be that whatever happened, happened. Perry is no longer with AEW. Neither is CM Punk. So to me, it doesn't matter. Let's talk about wrestling, because that's what basically is all about. All of the politics and the controversy and stuff that happened behind the scenes is just that, controversy and shenanigans in my book. We don't do politics here on Brawl Till We Fall. My name is Teo, if you don't know, and that's not how we do. Now, any news that happens and comes out, it won't be on this show particularly. It'll be on my other show, which is going to have a news segment about any latest introductions, anybody that's coming to or have been seen on either show. And that's Brawl Till We Fall on Clubhouse. If you want to check it out, it's going to come on every Sunday, just like this show. Next week, we'll be starting off with our premiere show. But I'll talk about that later on throughout the week. I may do a show here or some promotions. Right now, we're talking about AEW. So I missed a week, as you see, it's the black and white show, because when I miss a week, I go dark. Now, this is a two-part show. On this first part, I'm only going to get into what happened, just all of the highlights of what happened and all the shows that we missed, and then we're going to jump into the new week after the commercial break. So, let's start off with AEW Dynamite last week. It was an awesome show, as you've seen. Boy, Adam Copeland came out and set the record straight. But then after he left, the aftermatch, the match between the Battle of the Hobbs. I mean, not the Hobbs, the Battle of the Wills. I'm sorry. So the Battle of the Wills. So we have Will Ospreay versus Will Hobbs. And that was a powerful, pound match. It went on forever, it seems like. But to no avail, it ends up where Will Ospreay showing his skills and how he is the premier athlete of the Don Callis family. Now, I want to say this, not putting nothing against any of the other members of the Callis family, because I'm going to say it like this. Don Callis, I've underestimated you. I've given you some slack last couple of weeks I've been here. But you're actually a genius. And I say that because you have 4 of the most premier athletes in all of professional wrestling. I will put your 4 guys up against any other promotion. You have the speed and agility that comes with, it's just so much talent. You got speed, you got weight, you got Will Hobbs, who is definitely a pound-for-pound heavyweight. Okay? You got Takashita, who can hit you with any type of arsenal from his arsenal. Kyle Fletcher, speed, agility, technical wrestling skills, and then Ospreay has it all. You've assembled 4 of the greatest wrestlers of all time. I take off my hat to you, my friend. I haven't seen a manager do something like this since Bobby Heenan. Not to take anything away from Paul Heyman, but you have a 4-man team that individually, and you've shown, because of week after week, you've paired them against each other to show their skills and what they can do in that ring, which is ingenious. you've shown individually, unlike other factions where there's always some interruption and somebody does something to help the other wrestler win. No, you've shown that individually, each competitor in your stable can handle his own by himself. I give you credit for that. And you've entertained us and is well received. Now, however, I'm going to say this. Watch Will Hobbs. Make sure you have a backup plan because it is known his reputation. He does not play well with others. And after the match of him losing to Will Ospreay, he didn't take it too kindly. So make sure you have another bigger man waiting in the wings to take his place. Because trust me, he's not sitting too well with being the underdog to the rest of your stable. That's my prediction. Now, moving on. There was a few other things that happened. Like I said, I'm only going into the highlights. The highlights of the matches. I mean, Bryan Danielson versus the Murder Hawk Monster was a great match. I'm not taking nothing away from that. It also showed that he is getting ready for Will Ospreay at Dynasty. So they met their biggest opponents. Interesting match, Billy Gunn versus Jay White. There was no cruise that was outside of that ring, as they said that there would be. Well, until the end, when Billy Gunn whipped Jay White's behind. I'm not going to say ass. Yeah, well, he whipped his ass because, anyway, badass Billy Gunn is bad. Anyway, whipped his ass, and his sons had to come out and save their predecessor, Mr. Jay White. But in that, the Acclaim came down to the rescue before they can do any damage to Billy Gunn. Now, on to the main event in a sense before the contract signing, which was the main event, which not going to really talk about. We already knew what was going to happen, and it happened. And we're ready for that match with Samoa Joe and Swerve Strickland. Well, let's get to the match. Young Bucks versus the Best Friends. This is to finish off the tournament for the tag titles. To no avail. Matt and Nick Jackson, they pulled it off. Highlight of the match was when Matt Jackson almost super kicked Trent Beretta's mom, which I thought that was crazy. But he stopped himself, and then she gave him a slap for his work. Anywho, that being what it is, of course, they are the bosses. They did win the match. Did not sit too well with Trent Beretta. He turned on Orange Cassidy. Hit him in the face with his finisher. Yes, he did. And now, which direction is Trent Beretta going? And what's happening now? Best friends are no longer best friends. They're going to be called themselves best enemies? I don't know. To no avail, that's what took place over there. And then, like I said, it ended Dynamite with the contract signing for the Samoa Joe versus Swerve, which is long overdue one-on-one match. All right, let's move on. Let's go to AEW Rampage. Malachi Black with Buddy Matthews kicks off against Christopher Daniels. Christopher Daniels is, to me, a veteran in that ring. So it was no easy match for Malachi, but he did pull it off, and he did pull off the win. All right. The main event of that evening was the four-way elimination match between Brian Keith versus Commander versus Daniel Garcia versus Action Andretti. Hard-hitting, crazy, wild match. So much was going on. But at the end of the day, the first one eliminated, of course, Brian Keith. Second, Commander. Third was the winner, of course, Daniel Garcia eliminating Action Andretti, and he hits him with a actual a move, because here's the thing. People knock Daniel Garcia. He clowns around and all those different things. But Daniel Garcia is an actual wrestler. He proved that when he faced Bryan Danielson. He proved that he is actually not just there for fun and games, although he does his dance moves and all of that. This dude is serious. And I'm taking him serious now because he beat him with a ring move, which a actual move that made him tap. So he's starting to use his ring skills again. And the person he beat, Action Andretti, is nobody. First, you got to catch the boy. The boy is fast and quick. But he caught him, and he put him in a hole. And he made him tap. In the ring, middle of the ring, and he won. Daniel Garcia is one to watch. I'm going to keep an eye on him. Moving on to AEW Dynamite last week. Finish off this conference finals. The winner of this match faces the winner of last week's, like I was talking about. The winner, I should say, of AEW Dynamite, which was the Young Bucks for the tag titles. Good match, great match, not good, great match. And it was FTR versus Top Flight. So now, this match could have went either way, honestly. But the veterans and the premier tag team in my book is FTR. Now, is it time for Top Flight to get that belt? Yes, it is. But FTR is the better team. And in that being the case, they actually won and they beat, FTR did beat Top Flight. It was a very high-flying match. And it was one of the greatest tag team matches of all times. FTR wins and will now face the Young Bucks. Next up, we have Pac versus Encore Moore. Wasn't a highlight, but I just like to mention it because I like Pac and he wrestles great. Now, highlight of the night for me was Hook and Jericho versus Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty. Hook threw a 300-pound man. Hook ain't but 100 and some pounds. He picked Lee Moriarty up. Not Lee Moriarty. He picked Shane Taylor up like he was nothing, like a piece of paper, and slammed him. Hook got hella strength. He's like a big man in a little man's body. I got my eye on him. But to no avail, they won. Jericho and Hook took out the Shane Taylor promotions. And then they got jumped by Anthony Ogogo, who comes out and shows that he's a new member of Shane Taylor Promotions. Not too familiar with Anthony Ogogo. But I tell you what, he got some heavy punches. He can hit. So got to keep an eye on him and look at his story and see where he's going. Speaking of stories, Dustin Rhodes is talking about finishing his story. And he's got a story to finish himself. He wants to go for the actual title belt against Samoa Joe. So we're going to talk about that in the next segment. All right. In other news, the ROH champion now is Mark Briscoe. He captured the ROH championship, which was shown on there. And then they went into the House of Black versus Brian Keith, Christopher Daniels, and Matt Sydal. And the House always wins. House of Black beat them. Nothing to sneeze at over there. Adam Copeland came out and got the jump on the House of Black. Caused a big fight in the ring, Mark Briscoe came out, FTR and the Young Bucks. In the end, it was Adam and FTR and Briscoe standing tall. All right. So, and that's about all I got to catch up to where we are today. I will say this, the end match was Claudio Castagnoli versus The Butcher, and Claudio got the win. Claudio is a beast. Still, no matter what promotion he goes to, he's a beast. Now, moving on, after this commercial break, now that we are all caught up in what happened in the last week of AEW, let's get into this week's AEW. After this commercial break. All right, welcome to Brawl Till We Fall. My name is Teo, and we're talking about AEW because a lot of things took place, especially starting off the week with Dynamite. Oh my goodness, so much happened. Started off with Samoa Joe giving Dustin Rhodes the opportunity to finish his story, as his brother Cody did on the other promotion. Well, Samoa Joe makes his way to the ring, and Strickland attacks him from behind and tackles Joe through a table. I think that was it. Officials check on Joe. To no avail. The match did happen. But Strickland is coming for Joe. Hard and heavy, as you see. All right, then we're gonna keep moving on because a lot to talk about, and I had already took up half of the show recapping what I already missed. So we're gonna get into it again, mostly the highlights. Although there's a lot of highlights on this show, I might have to get through the whole show because I don't really want to miss anything. And if you missed it, I want to tell you about it because that's what I'm here to do. All right, so Adam Copeland defends the gold against Penta El Zero Miedo with Alex in his corner. And they kick things off. Penta is... This match right here was a challenge for Copeland. Copeland's an older dude. In fact, I think he's older than me. And I can't even take a toe shot. So for this, it was a heavy hitting match and a challenge for Adam Copeland. But to no avail, they traded shots, moves, spear attempts. They went through a whole lot of things. But in the end, Adam Copeland is still the TNT champion. After the match is where it gets interesting. So you have the lights go out, and you know who it is. When the lights go out, you already know that it's the House of Black. So who's standing in the ring? Brody King. Brody King attacks Copeland from behind, while Julia Hart distracts him and King locks in the choke. Willow Nightingale comes out and they brawl with her and Julia Hart. They got a match coming up at Dynasty. That's going to be a very great match. So Copeland fights off King, and then Nightingale checks on him, and then that's basically the end of that shenanigans, I should say. Backstage, Chris Jericho, Hook, and Shibata looking ahead for their match. Of course, you know, as we talked about in the previous show, they fought against the Shane Taylor Promotions, and now Shane Taylor has a new member, Anthony Ogogo. So they all are facing each other 3-on-3, and so that's the match that's going to take place. A lot of things happened with Matt and Nick Jackson, um, and in the beginning of this entire AEW special that I'm doing right now, or segment, I should say, I already showed what Adam Copeland said prior to them showing the footage of actually what took place, which I find to be petty on their behalf. I don't blame Tony Khan for any of this. This is these guys. And it doesn't seem like it was something that was sent or meant to be an attack on CM Punk. Looking at it from this perspective now that I think about it, these guys are blaming FTR for this or trying to incite a riot with FTR because they know they have to face them at Dynasty for those belts. So it's to get into FTR's head. I think we of the fans have been duped. I think that we're taking things to a whole nother level that wasn't supposed to be taken to in the first place. This is a storyline that's being developed by the Young Bucks to mess with the FTR. CM Punk, because you mentioned his name, chimed in. Matthew Perry, or Perry, Chip chimed in, and it's nothing to do with them. This is simply a ploy by the Young Bucks to mess with FTR. That's the way I see it. So, I'm looking forward to their match with FTR. And even Dash and Harwood, they came out and said, Dak and Harwood said that, why are you bringing this up? You know, Dax and Harwood are like, this happened last year. And it's true. So I think this is a head game that Matt and Nick Jackson are playing. And it took the whole entire wrestling world by storm. And it has created a debacle of stupidity, I should say, because it has nothing to do with what's happening today. And Tony Khan is just caught up in the mix. They're saying that he's using this as a ploy to grab attention because so much attention is on the other promotion. It has nothing to do with him. Nothing to do with all of this. All this has to do with Nick and Matt Jackson doing what they do best, cause controversy and shenanigans to deploy away from what's going to happen to them, because I believe wholeheartedly that FTR is going to get those belts again. Anyway, moving on. I'm not going to waste no more time on those shenanigans. Will Ospreay spoke his mind about Bryan Danielson. That's going to be another great match for Dynasty. And then we have the match, Chris Jericho, Hook, and Shibata versus Shane Taylor Promotions, Shane Taylor, Lee Moriarty, and Anthony Ogogo, which was a great match, back and forth, hard-hitting match. And there's a couple of mistakes that were made during this match. Shibata hits Jericho by accident, causing an argument between Hook and Jericho, which this is a very short team, I should say. Yeah, I don't think Hook and Jericho are going to be teammates. Here's the thing. You got to look at the history of Jericho. Jericho has not really, since even AEW, forget about the other promotions, and since AEW, he hasn't played well with others. He'll give you a good long run. In this case, a very short run, because they just got together last week. Came up with a nice name, everything, but now it don't look like it's going to work. And Hook is used to being a loner. You could tell. I don't know the man, but I could tell he don't need nobody. He's a loner. That's just who he is. I will say this much. He has given, time to other partners. You know what I'm saying? But they don't last long. He was teaming with Perry for a minute. He teamed with Orange Cassidy. He's teamed with a couple of people, but he's a loner.
So you need to leave that boy alone. Let him be Jericho. I know you want to lend your hand to his ear to teach him something because you see potential. But some people, first and foremost, I don't think you could teach him any more than his father has already. Come on. You're talking about one of the all-time greats. And this kid still has the FTR title. He done beat some of the biggest dudes that have come his way. It's not like he can't protect himself. But Taz already taught that boy as much as he could teach him, and he is doing awesome by himself. All you're going to do is confuse him and bring in unnecessary shenanigans for yourself. Anyway, Okada versus Argento, which was a very fast match, of course. Okada came in right away and tore him up, and he got the win. Very fast match. And then he calls out Pac to challenge him, confront Pac. But to no avail, Pac comes out, confronts Okada, but the Young Bucks attack him. FTR makes the save. Big brawl breaks out. I don't see, this is just one of those things where it's just a lot of fighting and bickering and craziness, which what we love. To be honest with you, we love the chaos, we love the controversy and the craziness. Some controversy. There's other stuff that the Young Bucks pulled off was unnecessary. Anywho, backstage, Bang Bang Gang, Jay White and Guns recap their recent run-in with Billy Gunn, and now he's looking for a new challenger. No avail. I don't know who that's going to be, but I hope somebody beat the hell out of him. Anyway, Thunder Rosa comes to the stage and for a toast, AEW Women's Champion Toni Storm. And Storm throws the champagne in Rosa's face and attacks her, and she wipes some of Rosa's face paint off and mocks her. Deonna Purrazzo runs in for the save. Again, people continuously trying to save people that don't want to be saved. I'm going to get to that next segment because you're going to see for yourself that just by the words of Thunder Rosa, she doesn't want to be saved, especially not by Deonna Purrazzo. We will find that out. Anna Jay versus Mariah May. Jay and May go back and forth and they trade shots, and all that's good. The flurry of strikes, the slams, but Mariah May wins the match. So then after the match, Jay attacks May after the bell, and Stardom's Mina Shirakwa runs in for the save. I should say Mina. Mina comes in for the save and gets the champagne and gives Mariah some, and she kisses May, who picks her up, and they celebrate. All right, so that's all that happened over there. Mercedes Moné, the CEO. She's doing an interview. She's talking about she can't wait to see Julia Hart and Willow get it in. And she gets emotional and reflects on the injury matches. And then the lights go out. Now, what did I say in the beginning of this program? When the lights go out, who is it? House of Black. So there is no suspense in this. We already know who did this. We already know that Julia Hart is the one who attacked Monet because she already made a statement. Whoever wins, she's coming for them. Julia Hart is scared. There's no doubt she's scared. So I would say that Julia Hart, what goes around comes around. There is a such thing as karma. And it's coming for you. Karma is coming for you, especially you mess with the CEO. This woman has been in some tough matches. Some of the toughest matches that some men hadn't even faced. She coming for you. AEW World Championship eliminated Samoa Joe versus Dustin Rhodes. Rhodes takes the fight to Samoa Joe, and Joe overpowers him. And to no avail, I'm going to give it up to Dustin Rhodes. He did put up a hell of a fight. Dustin Rhodes still got it. And he took Joe to school. But Samoa Joe wins. And here's the thing I don't like. Joe wins the match, but he still attacks Rhodes after the bell. Swerve, I guess maybe you think about it, it was a trap. Swerve comes out and runs and kicks Joe and grabs a chain and punches Joe, and Joe escapes with Swerve. Goes hit him with the chain. They're setting this up for Dynasty, I understand. But yo, unless this match, which is the heavyweight championship match, is a no holds barred match, chains, all this stuff is unnecessary. Make it a no holds bars match. These two dudes are dangerous, more outside the ring than they are in the ring. But I just hope that my boy Swerve gets the belt. That's all I got for that. After this commercial break, we're going to come back and we're going to go into their Friday night AEW's Rampage, and then we're going to get into Collision. So stay tuned after this commercial break. We'll be back with Rampage. We're back. Let's get into AEW Rampage. Orange Cassidy was the first match up, and that was very interesting. Not so much the match, what happened after the match. So Cassidy defeated Alex Reynolds for the with a pinfall, of course. He was going through some distractions in that match by John Silver, so he still pulled it off. Orange Cassidy is an awesome wrestler. Take none from the guy. He definitely he handled himself very well when he was the champion, and I see future championships for him coming soon. But after the match, Cassidy was interviewed by about Trent Beretta's betrayal. And out came Trent, followed by Chuck Taylor behind Cassidy, which stopped Trent from coming much further. Beretta asked whether or not Chuck is actually his best friend before leaving. Best friends, great creation, great team. They've had each other's backs from day one. I don't know where they're going with this storyline, to be honest with you. They're the only original thing that AEW has that's still going to this day. So, I mean, why break that up? Why pull? No, I'm not even going to go there. I would say that, the other competitors and the other promotions don't keep tag teams long. Let's not try to be like them. Moving on, Julia Hart defeats Layla Hirsch via pinfall. Hart retained her TBS championship in a surprising way as she ended the match, but by seemingly getting hurt late in the match after Hirsch hit a big dive on her. But while favoring the arm, the ref checking on her, Hart quickly rolled up Hirsch while she wasn't paying attention, ending the match quickly. So, a note to all those that are facing Julia Hart. She got tricks up her sleeve. Be aware of the shenanigans. That's all I got to say. All right, moving on. The Don Callis family is backstage, and Callis, he doesn't care if Powerhouse Hobbs and Kyle Fletcher beat the Blackpool Combat Club at Collision. All he cares about is that they do whatever they can to hurt Bryan Danielson. That's because Don Callis doesn't trust Will Ospreay. But all the stuff that I said good about Don Callis, you got to have faith in your wrestlers. And I showed you. And I just said that all of the guys you have in your stable individually have the awesomeness to defeat anyone. And that includes Daniel Bryanson. So, have faith in Will Ospreay. You don't need your other boys to beat up on Daniel. You don't need him. Have faith in Will Ospreay. Moving on, Zack Knight defeats Angelo Parker via pinfall. All right, so we got a backstage segment. Rocco Romero and Kyle O'Reilly. Now, for weeks, you've seen Kyle O'Reilly win and get celebrated by Roderick Strong. But for this point, O'Reilly is discussing the potential facing off for the Intercontinental Championship, International Championship, if Kyle can beat Roderick Strong for his belt. Well, Strong then showed up after Romero left and wasn't too happy about hearing O'Reilly discuss the matter. So he says that Kyle needs to watch what he does to Rocky at the Battle of the Belts. Rocky Romero will face Roderick Strong for the belt. And I'm going to get into what happens there because we're also going to discuss what happened at Battle of the Belts at the end of this segment. To end things off, we're going to end it off with Jay White defeats Matt Sydal via pinfall. Inside the ring, White parted with the guns, but he hit the Blade Runner to get the win. And that ends our segment of AEW Rampage. Stay tuned. We're going to go into Collision, and then right after Collision, we're going to go into the Battle of the Belts after these messages. All right, welcome back. Let's get into AEW's Collision, the results, and then we're going to go right into the Battle of the Belts. All right, so this week's Collision kicks off with Tony Schiavone and Daddy Magic announcing that Jon Moxley is the new IWGP champion, World Heavyweight Champion, I should say. So Moxley is now scheduled to be on Dynamite this Wednesday coming, and he is the new champion over there. So I don't know how this is going to play out with the Blackpool Combat Club. But you see Claudio and Bryan Danielson are backstage, and they're getting ready for the face the Don Callis family, Hobbs and Kyle Fletcher. So they're not taking it too serious from what you can see in this. Meanwhile, in the ring, the House of Black defeats Dante Martin, Action Andretti, and Matt Sydal. Wasn't a bad match at all. But Brody King, for a big man, hits a cannonball on Matt Sydal to score the pinfall victory. That right there is amazing. That's why I say, man, AEW got some amazing wrestlers. Not microphone handlers. Wrestlers that can do stuff like that. That right there is amazing. A big man like that, you ever seen the big man? Like, you ever seen Brody King? For him to roll his big self up to do that right there was, that's amazing. Moving on. You got Shibata versus Lee Moriarty with the Shane Taylor Promotions, and Shibata beats Lee Moriarty. Now, Lee has been losing some matches. I don't know, man. Shane, I think he's the weakest link of Shane Taylor Promotions. Why they brought in Anthony Ogogo. because he got the pinfall, and it wasn't no hard match. He did his thing. I ain't gonna give him no. I ain't gonna give him no zero score. But he needs to do better than what he did, and he could have, may have won that match if he put a little bit more into it. But anyway, Shane Taylor attacks Shibata after the match, and Hook comes out to make the save. And again, they back out of the ring because they knows that he gonna face Hook later on, so he's not really worried about it now. He's gonna try to get his revenge later. But anyway, the highlight package of Ring of Honor Supercard Honor airs, showcasing the wins from Athena and Billy Starks, and that's the stuff that took place on Collision. If you did not see it, the Undisputed Kingdom are backstage with Roderick Strong, and he gets mad at Lexi Nair for crediting Wardlow for recent success. Here's what I'm gonna say about that. I really think that Wardlow is getting pushed around. He's being bullied by all these crews. They always ask him to join. He's a big dude. They always ask him to join these factions, and he gets bullied around. And then he gets the ups and downs. He gets a nice run, and then he don't run no more. Like they put him on the back burner. You need to do something with Wardlow. He needs a good run. He is a premier talent, and there's something that needs to be done with this dude. Just my opinion. Moving on, we have Daniel Garcia. He's locks Angelico in a heel hook to win a match against Angelico with Serpentico. So Daniel Garcia is on a winning streak. So he wins his match. Not going to focus too much on the backstage shenanigans. See now that they're trying to do something different, and it's not working for me. Tony Storms with Mariah May defeated AZM with Anna Jay in an eliminator match. So Tony Storm is still doing her thing. Her character is a little unethical for me. You see Athena getting ready for her match at Battle of the Belts. So she's there. She's going to be facing Red Velvet. I'm going to get into that in a few minutes. Mark Briscoe is backstage, and he's taunting the House of Black as usual. He's getting them ready for Dynasty, which they've been gearing up for that coming up this Sunday. That's coming. So it's going to be a lot on Dynasty's card. A lot of things that's just been added. We'll get into that in a minute. Thunder Rosa comes out, and this gets to where I was talking about earlier, where she made a statement that she doesn't need any of Deonna Purrazzo's help. And she made that very, very clear. And I guess you could say that because if she wins that title, she knows that Deonna Purrazzo is going to switch gears and come for her, just like everybody else in that locker room. So cut your ties now, cut the friendship now, and let's get it on. And let's keep it for real, 100. All right, so moving on. We got Kyle Fletcher and Hobbs are backstage talking about they want to protect their golden goose, Will Ospreay, which I told you he doesn't need protecting. Will Ospreay does not need for you guys to do anything. He's going to give Bryan Danielson a hell of a fight. Even if he loses, which I doubt he does lose. I really doubt that he's going to lose. I think that Bryan Danielson has, a long streak of winning, but he has met his match in Will Ospreay. I think Will Ospreay is going to come out on top. He is going to defeat Bryan Danielson. I really believe that he's going to win. So, moving on, The main event: Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli defeats Kyle Fletcher and Powerhouse Hobbs. Now, honestly, with that match, it was a hard hitting match. Um, their intentions was to beat down Danielson, which was the wrong focus, which is why they lost that match. Um, they fought even after the match was over and whatever. But again, they're trying to do something that doesn't need to be done. And then you're losing fact that Claudio is a very powerful and dangerous dude himself. Even more powerful than Powerhouse Hobbs. He's not as big as you are, but he swung you around like you was a little child. So at the end of the day, you shouldn't have been trying to target Danielson in the first place. You should have just focused on the match and winning. You might have won. But that's it for Collision. Let's get into the Battle of the Belts. All right, let's get into the Battle of the Belts. First off, we had Hook versus Shane Taylor, which I stated earlier when we was talking about Collision and Hook coming out to make the save earlier. He was going to face Shane Taylor anyway. So Shane Taylor didn't do anything to Hook. But to no avail, it was a good match. You even had Anthony Ogogo on commentary. I mean, Lee Moriarty was around the ring, and still Hook pulled it off. Hook defeated Shane Taylor, 300+ pound man, who Hook once again picked up and slammed. Let me say something, man. There's been rumors that Hook want to leave and go off to other promotions. I don't know. But AEW, you better do whatever you're going to do to keep that boy there, because he is a vital entity to your company. He is phenomenal. He is great. Awesome. Following his father's footsteps. With a little bit more weight, he will be one of the most dominant wrestlers that you've ever have on your roster. Keep him there. Do whatever you get, more money, whatever he wants, because he is AEW. Moving on, because I'm not going to take too much time on this. Roderick Strong versus Rocky Romero. Great match. Romero actually took it to Strong. He might have won that match. But of course, there was some interferences, some distractions. Things happened outside of the ring. So Roderick Strong defeats Romero. Some people gave this match a grade B. But in the end, they came out, they were all over him. So then out comes O'Reilly, who gets nailed and yelled in his face that he would never be able to do it on his own. So that means that they wanted him to join their club because of the history. But I can't wait to see O'Reilly versus Roderick Strong for that belt. In the past, they have faced in other promotions. O'Reilly beat Roderick Strong. So, I look forward to that. Main event of the hour. My girl, Athena, defeated Red Velvet. I knew this was going to happen. Athena is awesome. She's great. I've watched her in other promotions as well, and she is a queen. I think she should be more on an AEW roster than normal. I would like to see Athena one-on-one with the CEO. I mean, there's so many possibilities. They need to do more in building their female women roster in AEW. That's the only thing they're lacking. Other than that, They're good to go. They need some more bigger wrestlers, bigger than Willow Nightingale, not bigger, but you know what I'm talking about. But Athena is a great star that they need to start with and building up opponents for CEO, because other than that, it's going to be the same end results that you had with Jade Cargill, where there's no competition. So, a little bit more advice from your boy Teo. That's all I got for AEW. Thank you for watching. And I'll catch you next time, next week actually. Peace and hair grease.